There comes a time when you realize the applause you chase is nothing but an echo, fading as soon as it is given. You grow tired of living as a performer on a stage built by others, waiting for their approval, waiting for their nod, waiting for them to tell you that you are worthy. But the truth is simple. No one can hand you your worth. It must rise from within you like the steady flame that survives the wind. Think about it. From childhood, you were trained to seek approval. You raised your hand in class, hoping the teacher would smile. You brought home good grades, waiting for a pat on the head. You wore clothes to impress, told jokes to be liked, posted pictures to be validated. The crowd clapped, and for a moment you felt alive. But soon, the silence returned, and with it came the emptiness. That emptiness is the cost of living on borrowed applause. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Stop chasing the opinion of men who do not even know themselves." He knew that the hunger for approval is a prison, its bars made not of iron but of invisible chains that keep you from your true self. Every time you bend yourself to please another, you chip away at your own essence. And one day, you look in the mirror and do not recognize the face staring back. So the first shift of the Stoic code is this: you must stop needing approval. It is not that you stop caring for others. It is that you stop letting their opinion govern your spirit. You build an inner fortress, a place where your worth is untouched by clapping hands or silent disapproval. You become steady, like a mountain, unmoved by the storms. Imagine this. A man walks into a room. He is not the loudest. He is not the richest. But he carries himself with quiet certainty. He does not seek validation. And because of that, people respect him. Why? Because self-respect radiates louder than words. This man understands a truth. When you no longer beg for approval, the world cannot control you. You stand free. This freedom is not easy. It demands discipline. It demands that you practice saying no when every fiber wants to say yes just to be liked. It demands that you sit in silence when others mock you without rushing to prove yourself. It demands that you walk alone when others choose the crowd, but in that solitude you find power. The practice begins small. Notice when you check your phone to see who liked your post. Notice when your heart races because someone disapproves. Catch yourself. Ask, why do I care? Will their opinion change the course of my life? Or is it just a shadow passing by? This awareness is the first step toward freedom. Approval is like a drug. The more you chase it, the more it controls you. Withdrawal feels painful. But once you break free, you discover a strength you never knew existed. A strength built not on applause, but on the unshakable truth of your own values. The Stoics remind us, your worth is measured not by what others think of you, but by how well you live according to your principles. If you live with integrity, you are already whole. If you walk with virtue, you need no clapping hands. So ask yourself tonight, who are you still performing for? Whose approval chains you in silence? Are you ready to walk off that stage and live by your own script? Because the day you do, you stop being a prisoner and you start being free. Life does not test you with grand battles every day. More often, it tests you with small sparks. A careless word from a stranger, a delay in traffic, a family member's sharp tone. These sparks are nothing by themselves, but if you let them ignite your emotions, they burn your peace to ashes. The Stoics taught a simple truth. You cannot control what the world throws at you, but you can control your reaction. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you respond, that matters." These words carry a power so great that they can transform every moment of your life. Imagine standing in the marketplace of ancient Rome. A man insults you before a crowd. Your pride screams to fight back, to defend yourself. But the Stoic turns inward. He breathes. He pauses. He asks, will this matter tomorrow? Will this matter a year from now? In that pause, he reclaims control. His enemy holds no power, for he chooses his own response. Now bring that to today. You are in traffic. A driver cuts you off. Anger rises. You feel your chest tighten, your jaw clench. This is the moment of choice. Do you let anger rule you, or do you pause, breathe, and choose peace? That single pause is the difference between slavery to emotion and mastery of self. The practical shift is clear. First, awareness. Notice the rising storm in your body. Second, the pause. Take one breath, or 10 if needed. Third, direction. Choose your response with intention, not compulsion. This is how you build the muscle of self-control. Think of your mind as a fortress. Every time you react impulsively, you leave the gates open for chaos to rush in. But every time you pause and choose, you strengthen the walls. In time, no insult, no circumstance, no storm can breach your defenses. You become unshakable. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Anyone can shout, anyone can curse, but it takes courage to remain calm. It takes wisdom to respond with clarity, and it takes discipline to let silence speak louder than rage. Practice this daily. When your child spills milk, pause before anger. When your partner forgets something, pause before blame. When your boss criticizes you unfairly, pause before resentment. These small victories accumulate, and soon, you master yourself in greater storms. Remember, reaction is slavery, response is freedom. If the world controls your temper, you are its puppet. But if you master your reactions, you walk as a free man, a free woman, unchained, untouchable. So the second shift is not about suppressing emotion, but about transforming it. You do not silence the storm, you learn to ride it. And in mastering your reactions, you master your life. Look closely at the world around you, and you will see that most people are ruled not by reason, not by clarity, but by desire. They are pulled by every craving, every temptation, like puppets dragged by invisible strings. A new car, a new phone, a new thrill, a fleeting pleasure. They run endlessly, yet the hunger never ends. The Stoics saw this for what it was: slavery. Not chains of iron, but chains of the mind. Seneca warned that it is not the man who has little, but the man who always wants more, who is poor. Desire is a fire that will consume everything you give it, and still demand more. But discipline is the hand that tames the flame, shaping it into light instead of destruction. Think of a man standing before two doors. One marked pleasure, the other marked discipline. The first promises quick delight, the second promises struggle. The crowd rushes to the first door, laughing, indulging, drowning in momentary highs. But the man who chooses discipline walks a narrower path. He rises early. He resists the excess. He says no to the impulse that would steal his strength. And over time, he discovers something extraordinary. His will is unbreakable, his life steady, his spirit free. Discipline is not about denying joy. It is about choosing what truly matters. When you wake, you could scroll endlessly, feeding on distraction. Or you could rise, breathe, move, write, create. One path weakens you, the other sharpens you. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is love. Love for the self you are becoming. Every craving is a test. Food, comfort, lust, vanity. Do you rule them, or do they rule you? A man who cannot master his desires cannot master his destiny. But a man who lives with discipline walks in quiet power. He does not need to boast. His life speaks for him. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship to train this muscle, sleeping on the floor to remind themselves that comfort is a choice, not a need. Fasting to prove that hunger cannot break them. Walking in the cold to learn that the body is strong when the mind commands it. These were not acts of misery, but acts of freedom. For when you have proven you can live with less, nothing can enslave you. Think of the times you surrendered to desire. Did it ever leave you satisfied for long? Or did it demand more, pulling you into the cycle of longing? Now think of the times you acted with discipline. Did you not feel stronger, clearer, more alive? That is the secret. Desire drains, but discipline builds. So the third shift is this. Choose discipline over desire. Not once, but daily, hourly, moment by moment. For in the end, pleasure is a guest that departs quickly, but discipline is the companion that stays, guiding you toward greatness. Ask yourself tonight, what desire holds you captive? What small discipline could break its grip? Remember this, the man who can master himself masters the world. Every storm in life tempts you to reach for what is beyond your grasp. You worry about the economy, about the weather, about the words of strangers, about the turning of fortune. You waste your strength on what cannot be changed, and in the process you weaken yourself. The Stoics call this the Great Divide. On one side stand the things within your control. Your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your attitude. On the other side stand the things beyond your control. The past, the opinions of others, the wheel of fate. The wise man knows the difference. The fool does not. Epictetus spoke with clarity. Some things are up to us, some things are not. Yet most people live as if everything should bend to their will. They rage at the rain, they curse the traffic. They ache for praise, and when the world does not comply, they suffer twice. First from the event itself, and second from the illusion that it should have been otherwise. Imagine a sailor on the sea. He cannot command the winds, he cannot stop the storms, but he can adjust his sails, steer his ship, and remain calm. The fool shakes his fist at the sky. The wise sailor sets his course and rides the waves. Which one are you? Bring this to your own life. Your boss criticizes you unfairly. You cannot control his tongue, but you can control your effort, your dignity, your response. A friend betrays you. You cannot control their choice, but you can control whether you grow bitter or stronger. The world crumbles in chaos. You cannot control the storm, but you can build your inner fortress. The practice is simple, but not easy. Each time you face a challenge, pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, act with all your strength. If no, release it and guard your peace. Do this often, and your mind becomes light, your spirit unshakable. Worry is wasted energy. Control what you can, accept what you cannot, and walk with grace in the space between. The fourth shift is this. Narrow your focus. Stop scattering your strength on the uncontrollable. Pour it instead into the one arena that is always yours, your own mind, your own choices. This is where true freedom lives. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So tonight, ask yourself, where have you been scattering your energy? What battles are you fighting that are not yours to win? The world does not need your rage. It needs your clarity. And that clarity begins the moment you let go of what you cannot control. Look at the lives of most men, and you will see one common pursuit: comfort. A softer bed, a warmer house, an easier job, a life without struggle. They imagine that ease will bring them happiness. Yet comfort is a liar. The more you chase it, the weaker you become. Muscles atrophy without resistance, and so does the soul. The Stoics knew the truth. Life was never meant to be without hardship. Struggle is not your enemy. Struggle is the weight that builds your strength. Ease is the rust that decays your spirit. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, the obstacle is the way, not to be avoided, but to be embraced. Think of the athlete who lifts heavy stones. His body cries out, his muscles ache, but in the pain he grows. Now think of the man who avoids all strain, choosing only what is soft, easy, and safe. His body grows frail, his spirit timid. When the storm comes, he is swept away. The athlete endures. In the modern world, comfort surrounds you. Food delivered in minutes. Entertainment at your fingertips. climate-controlled rooms. But with every layer of ease, you lose resilience. You forget what it means to endure hunger, to walk through the rain, to face hardship without complaint. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort not because they were masochists, but because they understood that pain was a teacher. They walked in the cold, fasted, wore rough clothes, denied themselves luxury. Why? To remind themselves that they were stronger than they believed, that they could survive without the illusions of comfort. Ask yourself, when was the last time you chose discomfort on purpose? When was the last time you pushed your body, silenced your cravings, walked into the challenge instead of away from it? You do not grow in the comfort zone. You grow at the edge, where resistance meets willpower. The fifth shift is this: stop worshiping ease. Embrace discomfort as your ally. Each time you choose the harder path, you are not losing. You are gaining strength, courage, resilience. The man who can endure discomfort becomes unstoppable because nothing can break him. Tonight, reflect. Where in your life have you grown soft? What small discomfort can you choose tomorrow that will sharpen your edge? Remember, comfort is the slow death of the spirit, but discomfort is the forge of greatness. There is a sickness in our age, and it spreads faster than fire. The hunger for approval. Men and women live not by their own compass, but by the applause of the crowd. They ask with every action, will they like me? Will they notice me? Will they praise me? And in doing so, they become slaves, not to chains, but to opinions. The Stoics despised this slavery. They taught that the only audience that matters is your own conscience. The world will cheer you one day and condemn you the next. If you live for their applause, you will be tossed like a ship without anchor. But if you live by virtue, by integrity, by principle, then no crowd can move you. Think of a man standing before two mirrors. One shows his true self, the other reflects the distorted faces of others. Most people stare endlessly into the second mirror, adjusting themselves to please, bending, breaking, losing who they are. The wise man gazes into the first mirror, asking only, am I living with virtue? Am I true to what is right? Approval is an addiction, a drug that numbs the soul. Each like, each compliment, each nod of recognition feeds it, but the hunger returns stronger. Virtue is different. Virtue is steady, like a mountain. It does not depend on who is watching. It stands firm in silence, unshaken by the noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, not for applause, not for recognition, but because it is the only life worth living. Bring this to your own life. At work, do you act with excellence because it is right, or because you hope to be praised? With friends, do you speak truth, even when it is unpopular, or do you bend to avoid judgment? On social media, do you post to impress or to inspire? Every action reveals who you serve, virtue or approval. The sixth shift is this: break free from the tyranny of approval. Anchor yourself in virtue, courage, honesty, justice, discipline. When you live by these, you do not need applause. Your soul is already at peace. So ask yourself tonight, who do you serve, the crowd or your conscience? If applause never came, would you still choose the right path? Remember, approval fades, but virtue endures. And the man who chooses virtue stands unshakable, even when the world turns against him. Desire is a fire. Left uncontrolled, it burns everything in its path. It consumes wealth, time, and even the soul. Most men live as prisoners of their desires, chasing endlessly, never satisfied. One possession leads to another craving. One victory births another hunger. They spend their lives running, yet never arrive. The Stoics warned, the man who cannot control his desires is not free. He is a slave wrapped in silk, chained not by iron, but by his own appetites. Think of the addict. reaching for another drink, another fix, another indulgence. His face shows pleasure, but his eyes reveal captivity. But desire itself is not evil. It is energy, raw and powerful. Fire, when mastered, warms the house, forges steel, lights the path. When uncontrolled, it destroys. The Stoic path is not to extinguish desire, but to master it. To choose what is worth desiring. To hunger for wisdom instead of wealth, for virtue instead of vanity, for self-mastery instead of applause. Look at your own life. How many of your pursuits are born from true purpose, and how many from restless desire? Do you eat because you are hungry, or because you are bored? Do you buy because you need, or because you want to be seen? Do you work to build, or simply to outshine another? The seventh shift is this: master desire before it masters you. Train your mind to pause, to question every craving. Will this make me better, or will it chain me tighter? The Stoics practiced restraint not to punish themselves, but to remain free. Freedom is not the absence of chains. Freedom is the ability to say no. Tonight, reflect. What desires have mastered you? What cravings keep you restless, distracted, enslaved? Imagine the strength you would have if nothing owned you, if you could walk away from any temptation. That is true power. The man who rules himself cannot be ruled by anyone else. The final shift is the one that gives meaning to them all. To live each day as if it were your last. To walk through the hours not with fear, but with presence. Most people live as if life is an endless rehearsal, always preparing, postponing, delaying. They whisper, "Tomorrow I will start. Tomorrow I will change. Tomorrow I will live." But tomorrow is not promised. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This is not a call to despair, but to awaken. To stop drifting and start living. To seize each moment with gratitude and courage. Think of a man at the end of his life. He looks back and sees the years he wasted. On fear, on chasing approval, on distractions that meant nothing. His chest grows heavy with regret, not because he failed, but because he never truly lived. Now imagine another man who faced hardship with courage, who loved deeply, who lived with virtue, who embraced each day as a gift. Death comes to him too, but he meets it with peace, for he has nothing left undone. The Stoics taught memento mori. Remember that you must die, not to paralyze you, but to set you free. When you keep death before your eyes, you stop wasting time. Petty arguments lose their power. Comparison fades. The noise of the world grows silent. What remains is what truly matters. Living with integrity, with love, with purpose. The eighth shift is this: live for today. Speak the truth now. Act with courage now. Be grateful now. Do not wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this day. So ask yourself, if today were your last, how would you live? What words would you say? What fears would you release? What purpose would you embrace? Do not wait. Begin now. And as you carry these 8 shifts within you, remember, the Stoic mindset is not a philosophy for scholars alone. It is a weapon for warriors of life. Each shift is a key. Together, they unlock the door to strength, freedom, and peace. Master them and you will break free. Master them and you will rise unshaken. Master them, and when the end comes, you will leave without regret. You have walked through the code, 8 inner shifts that free you from chains the world cannot see. You have faced control, discipline, reaction, desire, and the fleeting nature of life itself. You now hold keys that most never find. But remember, knowledge without practice is dust in the wind. The Stoics taught us how to endure storms, but storms are not only outside, they live within. The greatest battlefield is not the marketplace, not the battlefield of armies, but the quiet chamber of the mind. There in the silence lives a A voice that whispers when you fail, that questions when you rise, that doubts when you dream. Some call it conscience, some call it fear. But in truth, it is the voice you have built over years of repetition. Too often, it does not belong to you. It belongs to critics, to parents, to teachers, to strangers who wounded you long ago. And you have carried their words as if they were your own. The next chapter begins here. If you cannot master that voice, all the Stoic codes, all the shifts, all the wisdom in the world will feel heavy but hollow. But if you can rewrite it, if you can bend it into strength, encouragement, and clarity, then nothing outside you can defeat you. In the next part of this journey, we will step inside that hidden chamber. We will shine light on the whispers that chain you, and together we will rewrite them into power. So stay with me. Part 5 is not just a lesson. It is the turning point. It is where you stop being the prisoner of your thoughts and finally become the author of your mind. Remember, the Stoics gave us discipline, courage, and wisdom. But the pen that writes your destiny is still in your hand. Do not let old voices hold it. Pick it up and write again.